and say to him, we're Americans. We whipped the British. We won the First and Second World Wars. We invented the chocolate chip cookie. We're Americans. We can do this. But what's happened to us is we've come so long believing that, it really doesn't matter if I do something, it's never going to change. And so we've sat back. I bet money that if right now, in this very room, someone could give their life, it would completely change the course of this country. I'll bet you if someone in this room could give their life and it would change the course of the country, I'll bet we'd have several volunteers who would say, if it would really make the difference, if it would save this country for my children and my grandchildren, if it would save this country for the good it's done the world, I'd give my life. You know how I know that's the case? Because there were several veterans who raised their hands just a moment ago. And that's what people like that say. And I'd be one of them. And I'll bet many of you would be too. Well, why don't we? Why don't we give effort? Why don't we pour into changing this country? Because we think that it doesn't matter. So what if I write a check to help somebody's candidacy? That doesn't matter. So what if I don't vote? That doesn't really matter. This country's gone. So what if I don't influence my friends? This country's gone. Well, I'm going to tell you something. That demon of despair has become a self-fulfilling prophecy. And we have to rise up and say it's enough. And we're going to do something. We're going to do something. When those who wrote the Declaration of Independence finished spelling out their concerns over the king and what they were going to do, they said this: to this we pledge our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. They dared to believe they could change something. And they were willing to put feet to that belief such that they would pledge their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. Do you believe that? The Post and Courier came out with an article early in the race. Maybe you saw it, and they listed the pros and cons of each of the candidates. Anybody see that? They listed why people might win or not win. And so this was their summation of me. They had a couple pros, I'm thankful to say. And the cons were twofold. One, he has a young family and a busy law practice. Does he have time to campaign? That's one of them. And the other one was he lost a county council race in 2008. In other words, is he elected? Can he win? That's what they said. And we said, yes, we can. And so we set about to make that happen. I'll give you some relatively new news, okay? Teddy Turner has spent, where is David? There's David. David is the brains of all things political. He is the executive director of our campaign. David, how much has Teddy spent?
$25,000 a week.
$25,000 a week, just in Charleston, am I right?
Yes.
Just on television. Just on television. Okay? He's done mailers, is that true?
Not yet.
No mailers. What about Chip? What about Chip? Has he done anything?
Chip has. Chip spends about $23,000 a week in Charleston and about 10 in down in Savannah.
Okay, and he's done mailers, I've seen those.
Yes.
Okay?
Those
And
are
then there are the other 14 of us. So, last week, we commissioned an independent poll, an automated neutral poll, and we said, where are we in this race? You know where we end up? We're actually fourth, but statistically tied for third. How many of my commercials have you seen yet?
No.
Say zero. How many of my mailers have you gotten yet? Say zero. Those guys have been pouring cash into this, and I'm in the pack. Do you know why that is? It's because rather than buy TV, rather than simply send out mailers, and we're going to do those things. Okay, we're going to be launching that. We started by calling you guys. That's where we started. And Marlon sent 600 letters to people. And Dr. Williams emailed 300 people who were his friends. And Sarah, who is here, has volunteered to serve, and she's put stuff on Facebook every day. And I could go on and on and on. Let me tell you about our Facebook. We were 0 when we started. I don't know much about Facebook. I've never had Facebook before. Maybe some of you haven't. Maybe some of you do. I had 0 likes. You're measured in likes. I had 0 likes, okay? 0. When we started 3 weeks ago, we're now at over 3,500 in 3 weeks. To give you some measure of that, Chip Limehouse, who is in the State House, who's in this same race, who's been spending money on television and on placards and all that stuff, who's got a very good high-dollar team, has almost 700 now. We're at 3,500 today. Do you know why that is? I'll tell you why that is. That's because Becky sent an email to all her friends and says, I'm with this guy, would you join me too? That's why. It's because a dear pastor friend of mine, West Ashley, said something in his congregation and said, I can't endorse anybody, but I really like what this guy says, and we need a believer in office. And that has made the difference. I talked today to a man who ran the campaigns for Focus on the Family's efforts to win marriage amendments across our nation. You know what he said to me? He said, Curtis, don't let them talk you into spending all kinds of money. You know what you need to do, Curtis? You need to get people that care about things to get engaged and to contact other people. That's what I need. And we're still going to spend it. They're still going to see our TV, Mud Ugly Mud. They're still going to see it. They're still going to get our mailers. We're going to do all that stuff, okay? We're going to do the billboards and all those kind of things. But right now, we're tied for 3rd statistically, and we haven't done any of that because of you and people just like you who are Americans, who are just a little bit fed up and are willing to say, the line is drawn in the sand right here. I'm doing something. I am going to beat back the demon of despair, and I am going to get engaged. Who thinks that way? Because if we don't, if every man just kind of runs where he thinks is best, we will never turn this ship around. That is where we must go. Now, I can't do that myself. If you say to me, yeah, Curtis, why don't you go to Washington, D.C. and do that? Well, I would be a fool to believe that I can do that. I'm one of 435. I can't do that. But you know what? We can do that. I'm bold enough to believe that we can do that. I am bold enough to believe that we, the people of the 1st District, can be a major force in making that happen, if we will. But here's what I get. I'm sitting at a dinner a couple of weeks ago of Jewish businessmen downtown talking about my candidacy. And they were kind enough to endorse my candidacy and help with it. But as I sat there, the gentleman to my left said to me, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter even if you go up there. There's nothing we're going to be able to do. This country is over. And I've heard that again and again. And candidly, it makes me angry. I wanted to jump up on that table